is up, hotties? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot. I'm Blaiden Kirk, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. And today we are giving you our way too early top 10 prospects in the 2026 NFL Draft. Obviously, we're not going to have this wide range of film review that we normally have on these prospects, seeing as it is June. But I think this will at least give a good look at who to watch out for in the upcoming college football season as you prepare for a draft time as well. But before we get into that, Matt, Theo, I actually have a question for you guys today. I saw this on TikTok, and then I asked my girlfriend, and now I'm going to ask you guys. Would you rather give up for the rest of your life sauce or kissing?
Yeah, I'd probably go sauce.
Interesting.
I think maybe kissing. You know, there are other ways to show affection, but there's really nothing else that you can smother on.
So no, I think so. I mean, I'm assuming. I don't know. It would definitely be a bummer. I mean, I guess I would ask what is considered sauce, not to turn this into like an NBA Twitter semantics debate, but like, can I not have mayo on my sandwich?
Yeah, you can't have mayo.
Okay.
So like,
yeah,
mayo is out. Any sort of like, salad dressing, like ranch, is out of the question. Pizza sauce, you can't have pizza sauce on your pizza. You can't have pasta sauce on your pasta. So it gets like very few and far between the number of foods that you can have. I do think that Theo might be right to say you would rather have the sauce than the kissing. I think there's too many foods that you lose out on if you take away sauce.
You lose out on so many, and there's just other ways to show affection. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I would still go sauce, me personally. I don't think it would be that big of a loss. And if I can't have pizza, honestly, healthy. So I'll take it.
No
All right,
pizza, man.
Well, how are you guys doing on this beautiful Sunday afternoon, like early afternoon, Father's Day?
Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. Shout out to all the dads out there. I can never remember when either of Mother's or Father's Day is until the day that it arrives, pretty much. That might make me a bad person. But I feel like every year I'm shocked at how fast Father's Day is after Mother's Day. It's like, didn't we just... But I guess it doesn't really have any of, like... Well, I think they don't need to be like 6 months apart exactly.
Mother's Day is the first Sunday in May, and Father's Day is the second Sunday in June.
This guy's locked in. Like, I thought they just chose a new day every year, honestly.
Oh, I'm going to look this up now. So talk about the rest of your day, Theo.
Oh, it's been fine. I might go camping down in New Mexico as soon as this podcast is over. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I love New Mexico. I think it's our most underrated state. There's still a lot of mystique, I think, in that state. Okay.
Yeah, I see your vision. I was a little low on Southwest until I went out there and we drove around just like seeing the mountains and whatnot. And you're like, okay, yeah, I get it. It's pretty sick.
It's pretty cool. I like it, but I wish there was more water down here.
Yeah, I was going to say still too dry, still scorpions. Not a war I want to be waging on a day-to-day basis, but I see the vision.
Yeah, the scenery is beautiful. Like, I think Arizona is a top 3 most beautiful state overall. Along with probably California, Arizona, maybe Colorado. Colorado's kind of, I think it's browner, but it still might be there because the mountains are bigger.
What about Alaska? I feel like Alaska and Hawaii kind of are in there. I'd go 100%. Alaska over Hawaii. Not that I've ever been to either, but I see pictures.
Hawaii might even be above Arizona, so maybe I'll put it top 5. But
Hawaii is beautiful, but I've heard that they do not like having tourists. Like, native Hawaiians do not like having tourists there. So
yeah, I imagine so.
to go to Alaska. So
I don't think Yeah, I don't think they do. But I also don't think natives anywhere like tourists, really.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like
As someone who's native to Spain, if they want tourists in Spain, I think they'll say no.
I don't know. I feel
Doing
like
that, but for Cincinnati.
There's some places that are very touristy and like that's just almost like part of it.
I mean, if I lived in paradise, I would not want
yeah.
any,
It's like Paris, I feel like is a very touristy city.
yeah, and people who live there probably are pissed. Like the French are probably pissed off. I feel like everybody hates tourists.
I saw a video of like the waterfront right in front of the Eiffel Tower, and it's so many different like engagement setups or like proposal setups. There's like 10 just lined up next to each other.
The Hawaiians would love me though, because I hate being a tourist. Like, my ideal vacation is truly in the middle of nowhere. Like,
You're more of a traveling local.
Traveling local. Theo's a native everywhere he goes, man.
No, it's not. I just want to be. I want to be alone. I don't want to see anybody.
He just hates the people.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, how's your Sunday going? How's your weekend been?
It's been all right. You want to get into the top 10?
I would love to get into the top 10. However, before we do that, we have to talk about some of the questions that people have been asking us in the Stay Hot group chat brought to you by ChatBcc. Going over to stayhot.chat if you want to be involved in some of these questions going forward. This first question comes from Mika Corbett or Micah. I'm terrible with names. How do you feel about the potential of winning divisions not affecting playoff seeding? This was for in regards to the NFL, of course, and he saw a video of you talking about it, Matt, and wanted to hear all of our opinions on it. Matt, I have not seen your video on it, so I'd love to hear your thoughts.
It would be good if winning your division did not lock you into a top 4 seed. This is a classic, like, well, it's how it works now. Well, how could you change it? Sort of minor little thing. But like, yeah, at the end of the year, there are more games that don't matter because you've locked in the playoff spots like that than there are like division games that wouldn't matter because they aren't locked like that.
I like the current setup, I guess. I like that the divisions really matter and you have 4 teams that are really jostling for the playoff spot within the larger context of the league. I think it makes everything a little bit easier to follow. I think I miss the concept of divisions in like the NBA, for example. Like I would like to avoid just kind of the conference standings being the seeding. I don't like that. I think, yeah, making the divisions matter seems important to me, but I guess I haven't thought about it too deeply and all the implications of getting rid of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I could see it both ways. Like the one thing I would worry about losing is rivalries in the NFL. Like I feel like in modern sports, rivalries aren't as prevalent as they used to be. I don't know. Maybe that's just there might be no merit behind that at all. But that's just kind of like what I'm seeing, like anecdotally. So, and I'd really worry, like, if we're losing divisions, then, or if like divisions don't really matter anymore, then we're like really losing.
I've just never had a problem with it. Like when the NFC North was good last year, and there was a 13-4 team that was in the wild card round, like that just didn't seem unfair at all. I did not have any kind of problem with it. I don't think it impacted the playoffs. I mean, that team lost in the first round. I don't think some like absolutely stud team has ever like unfairly had to go on the road and lost. I just don't think that is a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that like this is a big time like cross your arms, don't like it, just win sort of moment. But like, I don't think any like losing record team has ever unfairly missed the playoffs because they won their division. Would be the reverse of that, right? And I don't think divisions wouldn't matter if winning it still guarantees you a playoff spot, which it would. So I guess that wouldn't even be an issue. You can still have a losing record and make it. I think there's just games at the end of the year, like, I don't know, Seattle versus LA didn't end up mattering at all. And like, they didn't even really try because the division was already locked and there was nothing for the Rams to like gain or lose because of their position. People are just like, they're fine with that. They're like, yeah, it's the last week. Playoff teams, like a good number of them aren't going to try. It'd be nice if those teams did try. I don't think it's the end of the world or anything. And I agree there is something to like the divisions mattering a little, but we're just sort of in a spot where it's like, I guess people are cool with some of those games just like literally being like the backup quarterbacks playing or whatever.
I guess if I need it like really spelled out for me because I'm like not even comprehending. Like if I could look at it and see like, okay, there would be way more competitive games in weeks 17 and 18.
It would be like, it's like a handful. It's probably like 2 to 3 games a year, maybe. It's really not that big of a deal. It doesn't matter that much. But I just thought people in general are like kind of too negative about it. People don't like to look honestly at stuff like this. They hate it. Mm-hmm. And that bothers me maybe more than right. That bothers me more than like not actually doing it. I don't even think there's like no merit to not doing it, but I don't know.
We should always be on the lookout to try new things. I mean, I'd have to look at it more closely because I could definitely be convinced if it means more competitive football. Like sometimes new things are better than old things. But for me personally, I've never really had a problem with the way the NFL playoffs work. I think it's a pretty great regular season and overall setup.
Yeah, if there's 2 games out of the year that don't really matter, that's a hell of a lot better than college football.
It's a lot better than most sports, but what's the next question in the mailbag, Blaiden?
This next question is directly to Matt. And I also have to point out, I have all notifications turned on for the group chat, and there's someone else named Matt in the group chat. So I was thinking that Matt was just like going crazy in there this morning. But this next question is from Ben, and he says, Matt, what do you think about Ellie heating up with the Reds only 3 games out of a playoff spot?
I think a lot of the league is very, very scared that the Reds are going to get hot and ruin everything. You're probably going to see franchises get sold here very quickly as owners try to just get out of the way of the inevitable. I don't know. I've been loosely following the Reds. I got kind of turned against them because we tried to go to a game and then it got rained out and then we got a refund to go to a different game and then it got rain delayed. These are the only 2 games that have been delayed by rain, I think, for Cincinnati this year. But it was like a 2.5 hour delay from like 6:40 to like 9:30, 9 o'clock at night. And it was still like shitty weather. They were just going to play it. And we're like, fuck it. Like, we're not going to go to that. Like, let's just go to a different game. Like, that ruins all of the plans altogether. Right, we don't want to be out till like midnight at the same and then walk back and it's like raining the whole time. But we did not get a refund for that game, and we bought like semi-nice tickets. Like the one time we've decided like, well, let's just sit kind of close. Why not? I'm hoping that money turns into like keeping Ellie and keeping, well, Hunter Green's already on contract, but keeping all the fellas around. But I'm excited about them getting better stuff. They needed the hot dog. Well, that's the thing, yeah.
A couple beers and some hot dogs. The Yankees that's
what we were saying is it's kind of a loss for them, really, because if I go there and I buy, I don't know, like 1.5 beers, that will probably cover a year of Ellie's contract, considering that it's, I think, what, $45?
From that?
That is just making up a number because the beers are
law of averages.
Dude, a beer at a stadium's like $14. Yeah,
it's insane. I mean, it really is crazy. You can get like a discount if you go like get one of the 25-ounce ones, but it's still like $24, and then you're like, I'm paying $1 an ounce. That's crazy. It almost makes it feel worse than it's like I'm getting one beer for $12 or like one beer for like $15. I'm like, okay, that's bad. But like once I start to get to like I'm increasing my ounces for dollars, and I think about it like dollar per ounce, and then that's not great.
Pretty sure a regular beer for $12 is still like $1 per ounce.
Yeah.
That's why I'm afraid you have to eat an edible before going to a baseball game. I just
don't like getting high like that, dude. I don't just have a bad
fireball
time.
shot.
But it's cost effective. Getting scared.
I can have a bad time for very little, and it's legal in Ohio. Great.
I can have a bad time for very little.
Or you don't drink or eat an edible, and you just
raw dog.
Or you just enjoy the game. Bring a scorecard.
No.
In fact, don't be a degenerate at all.
Bring a laptop and take
Bring a laptop. Get some work done.
be a productive member of society at the Reds game. But this next question, oh my God, this next question is from the Matt that I keep mistaking Matt for. He says, "What's a free agent signing no one is talking about that you think could end up having a massive impact to this season?" I'll give one that is. It is technically a free agent signing, but it's an undrafted free agent signing.
Hell yeah.
Xavier Restrepo has been balling out in Titans camp. They said that he is going to be barely making the roster. No, but apparently him and Cam Ward have been clicking already.
I don't believe any of these tweets from minicamp.
No, neither do. No, it's like I have people on like Brown's Twitter that are like, dude, it's like Shador looks like he's winning the QB battle. I'm like, they have 17,000 quarterbacks, man. Someone's gonna get the first team reps every single.
Everybody who tracks stats for training camp should be moved to some other industry, like oil rigs for every journalist that is like, what? JJ McCarthy.
No, that
leads all rookies and touchdowns.
I'm pretty sure that was a joke.
Bait. That was bait. But people do that. Bait. Like last year, they were counting Jalen Hurts like touchdown to interception ratio in training camp, and I guess maybe there was something to that because they ended up winning the Super Bowl. So maybe I'm wrong, but I still don't want to see it. But a for real free agent that I think could make an impact that no one's really talking about is maybe Dietrich Wise for Washington. Mm-hmm. They obviously needed to address some things about their defensive line last season. And Wise was kind of the direction that they went. They didn't go get a huge free agent pass rusher or anything like that. But just as badly, they needed better run defense, I think. I mean, there are way too many reps where their edges just get absolutely killed on doubles or washed out by tight ends or something like that. Like the corner situation was bad and getting killed by A.J. Brown was a big problem for the defense, but so was the run defense in general, to the point where they constantly needed to blitz. They constantly needed to load the box, and they constantly needed to play in a way that set up their corners for failure because, they just really couldn't hold up at the point of attack. And if there's one thing Dietrich Wise can do, it's do that. All right. He's really, really stout as a run defender. He's got really long arms and great technique. He's a great stack and shed guy. And I think maybe I would have seen them like to add more than just him, but he's really the kind of piece that I think needed to add to that front four.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely still concerning looking at Washington. Their defense is not substantially better than it was last year.
Definitely not.
So that, like, if anything could derail their season, it would be that. But yeah, that's a good call out. Matt, I don't know if you had anyone that you
not off the top of my head.
Up. That is fair. The segment is running a little long, so we'll do one more question because it is very relevant. How and when do you think the Shamar Stewart contract dispute will end? Is there any real possibility that he sits out the whole season and re-enters the draft next season? All I'll say is Mike Brown should just sell the damn team, dude. Like, what are we talking about? Like,
you can't functionally run an NFL team.
Like, okay, to some extent, it's like, it's cool that the Bengals are sort of this like bootstrap football guy, football family organization, right? And it would like low key suck to see them become like true corporate arm candy. But at the same time, you're right, Matt. Like they cannot functionally run the team.
Well, it's you know, it's a lot of it's with the guarantee stuff or whatever. I guess this is sort of different from that. I mean, nothing's stopping them from just giving Stewart his guaranteed money, but certainly it's like you can't continue to be this cheap and have like every single contract be an issue. I mean, even the ones that are virtually set in stone for you, right? I mean, I was thinking about it like, damn, I'm almost glad I'm a Panthers fan and not a Bengals fan, even though they've been to the Super Bowl recently and they've had this playoff success and all of that. It's like, yeah, like, damn, this would just be so annoying. And it'd feel like, how are they going to get better from here if they're doing this all of the time? I don't know how it's going to end. I honestly don't have any idea. I mean, I feel like people are bringing up the like super extreme case really quickly here where they're like, he could sit out the entire year. I don't think that's going to happen, but I certainly don't know who's going to
draft next year.
Right. That, yeah.
Which like, okay. I thought it would just be that the Bengals would like forfeit his like rights and that like a team could just sign him. Like he would just become a free agent.
And this is the problem with the draft is that can't happen. I mean, it sucks that a team can draft somebody and then they can only negotiate with that team. I mean, the power imbalance here is pretty crazy between Shamar Stewart and the Bengals organization. And the draft is a fun way to do things, right? Like, I'd prefer it to be a draft than they hit open free agency. But when it comes to things like this, like what can Stewart even do? And I get what the Bengals are doing. I get that they want to protect themselves, right? Like all they're really trying to do is say, your guarantees are guarantees if you play, which is a pretty low bar, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like, what if he gets hurt off the field, right? Like, should his money still be guaranteed? I think yes. And why should he be forced into signing a contract that's worse than what Amarius Mims got last year or Miles Murphy got the year before, right? He was the higher draft pick. He should be getting more, like this pot should be sweetened for him a little bit more, not a little bit less. It's just the team trying to protect themselves however possible. Like there's probably a clause in there, and no one knows the exact contract, but there's probably a clause in there that says we can void future guarantees if you get hurt doing something like reckless, right? But what does that constitute? Does that constitute playing basketball? Does that constitute being on a hunting trip? Is that reckless? Like, where does enjoying your off season or something like that begin? And where does it turn into like being reckless if you get injured? If you're on an ATV,
was on a boat for like a week, man.
Yeah, right. If you're on an ATV and you don't get it, like that's fun. I've done that. Is it reckless? Like kind of a little bit, but so is everything we're doing. Is driving reckless? That's very reckless. Maybe. I just think. I support Stewart in what he's doing. I think guarantees should be guarantees. I think trying to enter in all these clauses to get out of bad investments for a rookie who can't really even go to another team and get what he wants is bad faith. And I think, you know, I said that on Twitter and I get these tweets like, if he blows up a children's hospital, he shouldn't get his money.
What?
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, if he does something bad, like obviously he should face justice in some way, right? Like he shouldn't just be a millionaire. But I don't think these clauses or this language is doing anything to prevent the rookies from like doing crime or anything like that. It's just incentivizing the teams to draft players who are dicks if they can get out of the contract so easily. Like if this language is in the contract, maybe you'd be a little bit more careful about the type of personality that you draft. But I think what these teams want to do is, you know, draft whoever they want, no matter what, build in language to the contract where they can just cut anybody whenever and be protected. And that doesn't seem right either, right? Like it's being branded by like the pro Bengals camp as like this win-win because, oh, well, the player is incentivized not to do anything wrong, and the team, you know, is
Does the
can
same
get
thing
out.
it did. It did this.
But like, I don't think people do bad things thinking about clauses in their contract. I think that you should just, if you don't want to get burned by someone doing something reckless, like do a thorough job in your interviews and don't draft somebody with like allegations. I don't think it means every single rookie should get clauses snuck into their contract where teams can void their guarantees if they make any kind of mistake. So I don't really see the Bengals. That's not really the spirit of the question. This is just my own rant. How does it end? I guess I'm with Matt. I don't know. I don't really see the Bengals bending. Now they have bent in the past. They bent for Miles Murphy, according to his dad on Twitter, that they fought this and eventually Miles Murphy got it given up. But this year it seems like they're digging their heels in a little bit more. And if Stewart, as kind of a raw prospect without a lot of production, takes a year off, like he could really, his draft stock, he would not go in the first round, I don't think, if he had to enter a redraft.
Could he
so he's got a lot to lose.
Play in the UFL?
Maybe. If he just went in there and like ran it for a little bit, maybe he could get drafted in the first round again. But yeah, the Bengals doing things this way. I mean, they lost Carson Palmer. They're like a great quarterback for them because of a contract dispute. They're currently in one with Trey Hendrickson. Burrow's talked about how he's kind of frustrated with the way the Bengals have done business. He's talked about that in the past. Now, I think they appeased him, obviously, by getting Chase and Higgins done. So maybe he doesn't care anymore.
Frustrated by how long, like he was like, "Why? Like I need these guys."
And if they don't get him their first round pass rusher and their star pass rusher, and he just like, there's no chance right now that the Bengals do anything differently than they did last year. Like their offense is pretty maxed out. Their defense isn't going to magically get better.
And the only reason they got a deal done with Higgins was because Chase made his agent sign Higgins and was like, we're only getting a deal done with Chase. Higgins also gets a deal. Like they have to jump through hoops to get anything done. Like, it's totally ridiculous. Like people that are siding with the Bengals here, it's like, understand the context of the Bengals are known for like being horrific to deal with as far as contracts.
Yeah, I think they've got the leverage to squash Stewart like a bug. Like, but I mean, is it in their best interest to do that? Like, I don't know. So
yeah,
I would just take out the language and just give the guy his guaranteed monies. Like I said, it's not guarantees if they can be voided. All right. Maybe they're an easy incentive to earn, but they're not guaranteed if they can be voided. And I understand saying, wait a minute, why should I be the first rookie in Bengals history to have their guarantees not guaranteed? Like that seems like kind of a big deal, even though like it's just a little paragraph in the contract.
It is a big deal. So sell the team, Mike Brown. Sell it to stay hot for $100. We would not be able to own it.
We've got a lot of investors in the ChatBcc group chat.
That's true. You know,
400 investors.
If everyone Venmos us $1, we can buy the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, Venmo Theo-Ash, and we're raising money for the Bengals. Yeah, Venmo me whatever you can, and I'll
we're raising
put in
money
a bid.
to pay Shamar Stewart's guarantees.
No, just the Bengals.
No, just the Bengals. All right. Well, make sure you join the Stay Hot group chat, stayhot.chat. Shout out ChatBcc. Let's get into our top 10 way too early NFL draft prospects.
Number 1, Shamar Stewart.
Number 1. It actually would have been funny if he was number 1. But do you want to start at number 1 and go down this time?
Your call.
All right, we're going to start at number 1 and go down, just because Theo said number 1. At number 1, and the way that we do this, if you're unfamiliar, is we each put together a top 10, and then we use ranked choice voting stuff to create a consensus top 10. So there's a few honorable mentions that we might get to at the end, depending on time. But at number 1, we have the Ohio State Buckeye himself, Caleb Downs, who I think is probably the consensus number 1 prospect in this class, or at least consensus top 3 it seems, on most boards. And
depends if they're taking into account positional value or not. Caleb Downs isn't going to be the first overall pick. He's a great player, though. I think there's an argument for him being the best overall guy. I mean, his ability to like diagnose what's happening and close, like, I don't think anybody allows teams to get less on like flats or short routes or even like outside runs than Downs does. Obviously, he has the famous play where him and Ransom both get downhill against Texas and force a throw, and we know what happens after that. But just in general, I really do think it's like as good as basically anybody else that I've seen at the college level, and in that specific bucket, I guess, right? And his open field tackling is phenomenal as well. It's so good. On top of that, I think he's very good in coverage. I think his ability to read out the field translates to that. And I think he does a good job sticking on guys one-on-one. He's got a lot of really impressive pass breakups on tape as well. So I'm sure we're going to be debating, does he deserve to go top 10? Does he deserve it because he is a safety? And maybe he'll go like 12 to the Eagles or the Ravens or whoever the hell, and he'll end up being great and be like, oh yeah, he's that guy this year, basically. Right. But yeah, I think not taking into account positional value, him at 1 makes total sense to me.
He's one of the most complete players I've probably ever seen. Like he's even like a good punt returner, like great with the ball in his head. Like what can't he do? What can't he do? And it feels like the answer might be nothing. So,
yeah, seriously, I can't believe his athleticism. I mean, you talk about how great of an open field tackler he is. I mean, he hits you, and the way he's able to kind of drive his legs throughout the tackle is always what stands out to me. Like he hits you and he gator rolls and he's like kind of on his side and he's still like digging his cleats into the ground and driving you backwards. Like that never, ever, ever stops, no matter what body position he's in. I mean, it's almost like an animal. Like it's very, very different. Like it's not something I even see at the NFL level. Like I've definitely seen examples of it.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, man, they can really drive their legs through anything. They're on their back. But man, Downs just does it in such kind of like a clear and exaggerated way where it's like, holy cow, that the way he's able to form, tackle people and like fit up his body in a way that makes him like it's crazy. And yeah, the way he reacts to things, like you can be in a 2 high shell and think about how it's kind of 1 high, because if it's a run, Downs is going to be downhill so quick that like he might as well have started down there, right? So you kind of get the best of both worlds. And the last safety I felt that way about was Kyle Hamilton. That was kind of the exact same mindset that I had, where it's like, man, this guy reacts to things so quickly and he gets downhill so fast and he's such a good tackler that it changes the math for you almost in the box, where he can be up top, but by the time the handoff actually happens, he's not up top anymore, right? So you're protected in both ways. Like that was exactly why I thought Kyle Hamilton was like this generational prospect. And yeah, Downs has got the same thing, not to mention the composure at the catch point to break up passes. He works through the traffic, right? Like imagine it's man coverage and they call mesh, right? And he's got to like chase somebody through like a ton of bodies, right? There's picks everywhere. Like he just does it so easily. Like he just takes the perfect angle and still closes the distance. And then of course makes the tackle. So he's a very valid shout at number 1. I think he's a phenomenal safety and punt returner, like you said.
It's very rare to see safeties be like as good in man coverage as he is. Like his trail technique, I'm like, this is insane. This is completely next level. You're right to compare him to Kyle Hamilton. His tackling technique should be like pure teach tape. Like every high school in the country, every middle school should be like this. This is how you tackle guys.
Yep.
And you can, like, people are always looking to make big hits. He is still like leveling people while like having perfect form. It's insane. He is like totally textbook at everything. So I think he's right now easy number 1. And part of that is because like I watched a lot of Ohio State games. So like I've seen him play a lot more than some of these other guys, but it just feels so clear. But at number 2, we've got Kadyn Proctor. And Matt, you had him at number 1 on your list. And I don't think that's an unfair shout either. I thought about it, but the only reason I'm like, I just haven't seen enough yet because it's June, but I'm like, dude, first glance, I'm like, this dude is just like the most like steel trap grip I've ever seen.
I mean, he looks the part. Like, he's huge.
Like 7'3", 370 with like the strongest grip and like insane power. Absolute cinema watching him. But Matt, you had him at number 1.
Yeah, what is he like build wise? Yeah, they've got him at 6'7", 360. Like he's huge. And I totally agree. His grip is ridiculous. When he gets up under somebody's shoulder pads, I mean, he just deletes them out of the play. It's almost bizarre. Like, it kind of looks like high school football, the way that he can stop people's momentum too. His anchor is great. And then for somebody who will be coming in like hot, just to be like completely stopped and then sort of just like standing there with him, it doesn't look like the level of football that it actually is. But on top of that, of course, like, to be a prospect this good, you have to do it in the run game as well. And he does. I would say that he does a good job like churning guys out of plays, and he does, but it almost doesn't like take that same buildup that it does for other dudes. He just keeps pushing and they never stop moving at that same pace. He's great at sealing guys off. And then once he does, he's just so damn big they can't get around him, right? And it's impossible to get yourself back in the play. So I think he's totally next level. I think he would have been tackle 1 in this class for me pretty easily, I think. And we've got a lot of football left to play. Of course, this is too early consensus, but there's a handful of guys that I feel pretty comfortable. Like, are we going to be right about them being in the first round? Like, definitely. Are we going to be right about him being in the top 10? I have a really hard time imagining we won't. So, yeah, he was my number 1 prospect.
Yeah, my only thought is like, well, is he too big? Like,
well, there's another 6'7" tackle in this class, isn't there?
But is he 360 pounds?
No, he's like 315. Yeah. It's like a massive weight difference.
But I think it can be a great thing to be big. I mean, Jonathan Ogden was a guy who was ginormous, right? He's one of the greatest tackles of all time. Like, if you're big and can move a little bit, like, you are kind of unbeatable as a tackle because no one can get through you. And it does seem like that might be Proctor. Like, this could be a number 1 overall pick at left tackle.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Spencer Fano and Francis Mauigoa. I really hope I pronounced that right. They're both 6'6". Francis is 315. Spencer is 302. And then, Proctor is 6'7", 360. So very, very jarring difference. It was almost a little disappointing watching the other tackles after watching him. Like, it's just not the same. Doesn't make me jump out of my chair every single time he makes contact with somebody. But our next prospect at number 3 is Jermod McCoy. A little cornerback action here. This dude is so explosive, and like, I mean, he matched up with Ryan Williams at Alabama and was pretty sticky with him. Was like really patient at the line of scrimmage. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. Obviously, it's, I need to see more, but like at this point, I mean, I'm like, yeah, this could be a top 5 pick at corner.
I put him at number 1. I was so impressed.
You did.
I saw.
I mean, he had an ACL, which maybe I shouldn't have put him at number 1.
That's why I didn't have him in my top 3 for the record, is that he tore his ACL and he's not going to get to play this year. But outside of that, like, yeah, I totally see where you're coming from.
Is he going to be out all of 2025?
He tore it in like April, right? He didn't tear it at the end of last season, unless I'm mistaken. He tore it in like camp or whatever. Like, spring.
It was in January, and that is such a tragedy because when healthy, this guy was clearly going to be one of the best corner prospects that I've ever seen. Like, he probably already is, if I'm putting him at number 1. Like, he's an elastic band. Like, watching him guard comeback routes, like, I couldn't help but put him at number 1. Like, he's in his back pedal, right? the wide receiver slams on the brakes. Like the speed at which he puts his foot in the ground and just springs in front of the guy is unbelievable. It is actually crazy the way he's able to transition and change directions. At the same time, like he's so patient in mere technique at the line of scrimmage. Yep. His hips are just buttery. He's got crazy composure at the catch point.
Super physical.
Super physical.
Great in press.
Yeah, great in press and great defending the run. Like he stacks and sheds, he tackles. Like, and like, what is wrong? Like nothing is wrong with this guy. Like he's the corner. I would take him on my team right now, and he'd be the best corner on the Packers. Like, I mean, yeah, it is. Whatever. But he might be the best corner, like in the division. Like he is a special guy. If he can come back from the ACL and stay the same or improve with another year, like
I think he could play this year. He tore his ACL. It was just the ACL. I'm not seeing any other structural damage or any other ligaments being torn. He's already had he had surgery. At the time this article was put out January 15th. He had already had surgery at the time of that article being put out. I would say it's very likely that he is playing by like October.
Yeah, I think he'll play at some point this season. I mean, Tennessee will.
It might not be week 1, but like I would expect him to play this year. So I think we'll get enough of a look to feel good about drafting him. But yeah, he was just outstanding, and he played 700 snaps last year. Even if he didn't play this year, I think there's enough tape that you could make a good enough call.
Yeah, I mean, Stingley had a great year, and then was hurt, and then it was COVID, right? And off the freshman year tape, you could still tell like this guy's pretty elite. And then he came into the league, and he was pretty elite. So even if Jermod McCoy misses more time than we expect, I think he can still be a really high draft pick, and I do think he'll be back and probably ball out next year. I'm really, really excited for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he looked absolutely amazing. At number 4, we have Jeremiyah Love, running back out of Notre Dame. Another guy that just like pops off the screen level of explosiveness. The number of hurdles that he has, you could make a highlight tape just of those.
I think he had him in 6 separate games.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's like his number 1 move. He doesn't like. Yeah, he's mostly hurdles. It's
he gets
bizarre.
Up high, like
and he does jump high to make him work. It's something, man. He's pulling him out. I felt bad. He had one against Army. I'm like, that dude didn't even get that low. It's like not like you can run at this guy with your hands up, like you're trying to play defense in basketball or whatever.
Because he'll just run you over,
Right. He's just a crazy athlete. I feel like most of his best plays and probably his best trait is just his speed. Yeah, he's explosive and his top end speed is insane. So he's a threat to just burn an angle that has no business being burned at all times and take it to the house. He also has a jump cut that covers a ridiculous amount of ground. He puts dudes in the dirt and just completely gets outside of their range and doesn't really lose much speed from it. Some guys make a lot of cuts. Some guys make those micro cuts and see things out early. He'll set a guy up and then jump the opposite way, and they have nothing for it. So I think he's going to end up being running back 1. I haven't watched every single running back in this class, of course, so we'll see. But I think he's well worth the hype. Would I take him at 4? Like, would I take him like where Ginty went? I don't think he's quite that level of prospect as of right now. But I do think he's an easy first-round draft pick from what I could tell.
Oh, I mean, the thing that stuck out to me is, like you say, Matt, that jump cut is absolutely gnarly. There's like a goal line running play he has where like you see from the end zone angle, like most running backs would have hit this A gap hole that starts to open up. He sees the linebacker start to close in on that gap, and he like launches himself like 5 yards outside of the tackle. And I'm like, how did he even get out? First of all, how did he even see that was there? And how did he get there? And then he just like walks into the end zone because no one's even close to him. I'm like, this guy's like absolutely ridiculous.
He's crazy, and I feel like he's got such like a traditional running back skill set too. Like I feel like he's kind of almost old school, like because he's got this crazy jump cut, but he's not this jitterbug by any means. Like he does, you don't think of him as like this really electric, like East and West, like Barry Sanders type of runner. I feel like where he's constantly like making people miss or moving side to side. Like he's somebody who ultimately wants to get downhill whenever possible, to the point where if there's somebody in front of him, he'd rather jump over them than go around them a lot of the times, right? He trusts his speed a lot, and only uses that jump cut kind of when it's necessary. And a lot of times he uses it behind the line of scrimmage, which I like. Like he uses it.
He'll cut into a lane. You're absolutely right.
He wants to get behind that wide receiver's block and get up to sideline, and that's when he's using all of these cuts. But when he's in the open field, he's really no nonsense. Like
he doesn't. Well, a lot of it is he just doesn't need the bait. You know,
exactly.
It's like he could bother with all of this nonsense, or he could just run forward and just beat the guy, and he does that more often than not.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty sick stylistically.
Yeah, and he's physical as well. I mean, he had a touchdown that I'm sure everybody who watches college football remembers in the playoffs against Penn State, right, where they ran power and he got like blown up in the backfield, but he kind of spins out of it, and then his back is turned to the goal line and he's kind of like churning backwards, right, and then he gets hit again and he like spins back towards the goal line and reaches his arms out, and like he's just running through all these Penn State defenders, like just twisting, turning, reaching. Like, yeah, 4 people hit him on a really good defense. It's the fourth quarter of a playoff game. He churns through all of them and gets in. And it just is like, that's just will and want to, right? That's just like grit. And maybe that kind of plays into the old school mystique that I'm talking about with him. But yeah, he's a very prototypical running back with the vision, the speed, the physicality, the cutting, the hurdling. Like I think he's got it all. Maybe he's not quite as good as Genty was with the contact balance, but there's a lot in his favor that could make him another top 10 pick at the running back position.
Yeah, but it also depends on who's picking at that level. Certain teams might not want a running back. But before we get into our number 5, 6, and 7, because they're all quarterbacks, some of which some of you might think are a little bit overrated, I want to talk about something else that is absolutely not overrated. Because you know what really sucks? Trying to send someone money and the app takes like 3 days to actually move it. Whether you're splitting a dinner tab or, trying to send people their half of the check and it just sits in limbo for 2 days, you're like, you could have just mailed them the check faster. That's why you got to switch to Cash App like us, because honestly, we haven't looked back. It's fast, it's easy, and it just works. Like, you just sign up with your phone number, don't even need a bank account to get started, and when you send the money, boom, it just shows up instantly. None of that processing delay BS. Plus, Cash App actually looks out for you. If you're about to send money to some sketchy account, it gives you a heads up. Like, that peace of mind alone is worth it. And I gotta say, I love how you can add, custom messages, emojis, even fun little backgrounds when you pay someone. You could add the stay hot background. You could send a picture of Huel Jinkley when you're sending someone money. Make splitting brunch or drinks way less awkward and way more fun. So if you're still out here using some slow, clunky app to pay people, what are you doing? Download Cash App today, and here's the kicker. If you're a new user, you can use our code STAYHOT. It's all one word. Just send $5 to a friend within the first 14 days, and Cash App will drop $10 right into your account. No catch, just money. That's Cash App. Hit the link in our description below to download it now. Hashtag Cash App, hashtag Stay Hot, hashtag. Let's talk about these quarterbacks, starting with Drew Allar, Penn State boy.
How did he end up at 5? Who had him?
I wonder. I had him in my top 10.
I put him in my top 10 too. I ended up loading up on a bunch of quarterbacks, even though I have some serious questions about these guys towards the end.
Yeah.
But this is not my quarterback one. Theo Ash, this was your quarterback one.
Bruh. I mean, I feel like he gets overhated a little bit.
He does.
I think I'm not sold on him by any means. And I think that this is a quarterback class where there's, we've gone out of the top
totally
5
agree.
and there's no quarterback in the top 5, right? But there's a lot of like good options for you. Like there's a lot of potential in the first round? Like, could we see
It's a lot of guys who
go
have
in
a
the first
lot of
round?
movement possibility with this final season.
And I like a lot of what Allar did last year. Like, I feel like he had a lot of reps where he was in the pocket and he was resetting his base, going through his reads, like getting to read number 2 or 3 and letting it rip. And he's got such a crazy arm. He can run pretty good. And the team and the offense was very successful despite the lack of really high-end wide receiver play. I mean, outside of Warren, right? He's the best weapon by far.
Right.
And I just think that with the growth Allar showed from 2 seasons ago to last year, like I think there's still meat on the bone left for him.
Absolutely.
Still. Like, he became a better runner last year for sure. He became more measured. He avoided too many negative plays. But he needs to get better at creating and kind of throwing on the move and throwing without that balanced base. And then the big problem and why everybody hates him is he's the opposite of clutch. Like, every big moment where it was like, now is your time to show us that you're a top quarterback.
The Boise game was,
Yeah, he fucked it up, right? He threw picks. His play got demonstrably worse when he really needed to have it against top competition in a close game in the fourth quarter. He just threw a ton of picks in those situations. So does he, like, those are the types of situations, like, the NFL will be tough all the time, right? If you fold in a tough situation, it speaks poorly to you. Like, there are some people who are just clearly fallers in those moments. And if you're that guy, you can't win a Super Bowl and you shouldn't be QB1. But he went back to college, and I'm interested to see if he continues to grow. And of all of these guys, I think he's already kind of shown the most, right? We'll talk about Arch Manning. We'll talk about, Lenoris Sellers, I'm sure. Maybe you could put those guys above him, but ultimately they've got some issues as well, or they haven't showed anything, right? Like Arch Manning, we don't know how he is in a clutch moment in a big game because he's played UL Monroe and lit them up. And that's what you're basing it on. So I think Allar has a high volume of like really, really great plays, and his statistics were good last year. And I just thought, you know what, where we stand right now in June before the draft, like Allar does still probably get me a little bit more excited than some of the other guys, but that could easily change if he continues to mess up every fourth quarter.
Yeah, I agree with you that I like Allar more than Arch Manning, who has played 260 snaps in 2 years. Not his fault, but like,
I just don't know what to think about it. Like,
he hasn't played. Like, he hasn't played football.
I think he's
like how many, like the number of guys that have played, the guys who have played less football than Arch Manning are like true freshmen and red shirts, and like that's it.
He's nice.
So like,
he is nice. I still put him in the top 10. I'm not sure how nice he really.
I put him.
I can't put him, like, I can't in good faith put him in my top 10. I feel like just on principle, I'm like, he hasn't played.
I put Genty at like 5 on my running back list.
No. That's totally different, man. That's like, did you watch Arch Manning play in high school? Did you like give a high school scouting report on Arch Manning?
I watched him play in college.
All right,
he's great. With Allar, like, I totally agree. I think his receivers really suck. I think that's the one thing. And part of his issue is like, you can't make do with that against OSU. I know that's going to sound like very like Buckeye centric, but like a couple of his big moments have been against Ohio State, and Penn State's offense gets reduced to like just trick plays because they don't have receivers who could win against.
They're taking the ball out of Allar's hands, and it's not his fault that they're doing that.
It's not actually Allar; it's the receivers.
Right.
But when like nothing's open and you force something, sorry, dude, they're never gonna blame. Like on watching broadcast, you'll never blame the receiver. It's never gonna happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Truly, I do think.
Like I think he definitely could get through his reads like a little bit of a beat faster. Like he does get through them and has reps like that, but I always think he could speed up his footwork a little bit. And I think the Notre Dame game is a good example of that, where like he does kind of eventually get to that backside dig, but he did it a tick too slowly, so the pressure was closing in, and you didn't see how blanketed all of his wide receivers were. It's like, well, he could have done a little bit of a better job here, but also that pick happened because Notre Dame plays man, and the receivers can't beat man. And then it's like, well, Allar messed up another clutch situation. Like, how could you ever put him in your first round? And it's like, well, maybe he could speed it up a tick and he could get a better receiver and things all of a sudden are a lot better for him. Like, I just don't think that's off the table at all.
Yeah, I think he showed a lot of growth. I think that's encouraging, and I like betting on that. And he's got great tools, so we'll see. I'm not quite ready to put him there because I think he's got big issues. But I also had Arch as my quarterback one right now, so what can I say?
And you put him at number 3 on your list here.
There we go. Does that make him the number 6?
It does, yeah.
Oh, cool.
That's why
Arch is pretty phenomenal. I mean, for starters, this is true for I think maybe we probably had like 5 different quarterbacks listed here, but he's very mobile and he has a very big arm, like NFL plus, I think. But on top of that, I just like that. Maybe it was because he was playing weak competition, but he's really, really aggressive. He goes through his reads well. I think he'll push the ball down the field, and I think he's pretty dang accurate. I think he does a good job of using his mobility to extend a little bit. And I think when you combine, like, if he's already seeing the field well, he's already showing the traits that he needs to. Honestly, I think the biggest risk for him on this list, or maybe one of them, is that he just might not come out because, the Mannings, they stayed. So maybe he'll do the same. And I'm sure if you're a Texas fan, like, you're very big into being like, national media has no idea that he's not going to leave after this year, which I fully understand can happen. But regardless, I'm going to rank him really high. I just feel like a lot of the pushback I hear about Arch in general has more to do with people trying to do like the Bronny James stuff with him rather than like any like tangible thing about him. But it's just like, and it's fair. It's like, all right, fine. He hasn't played that much. Maybe this is getting ahead of our skis. Maybe it's way too early to be putting him here. Like, yeah, that's kind of the point of the list. When I see him, I'm the most excited about him versus some of these other guys. Now, maybe it's because I know their flaws a little bit more than I do with Arch, but I really, really think that he's got a pretty complete game already from the limited stuff that we saw.
Yeah, I see putting him at 3, even though I didn't and am a little gun shy. Like the problems that we've seen with Nussmeiner and Allar, the turnover issues. That's enough to say, well, let's try somebody new, even if he hasn't shown much, right? Like you can look at those guys and say, yes, they've had more high-end plays, but they've had enough negative plays where I'm kind of out on them as franchise quarterbacks. And Arch is like kind of an opportunity to start that process anew. And I really like what he's shown so far. Like it really is just the fact that it's against such bad competition where I'm like,
that's fair.
I just don't know, but he's jacked was the first thing that kind of surprised me about him. Like his legs are so like strong and he can run through contact. He can hang in the pocket really well. He can generate a lot of power. Like he's a really, really high-end athlete. I think his arm isn't as crazy as like Allar's is. But I think it's good. And overall, I'm definitely excited to see him. I think he looks fundamentally sound. He looks strong, athletic. He looks like he has what it takes to succeed. And he's at Texas, right? He's a number 1 recruit. He's the Manning. Like he is kind of a golden boy. And I think that turns a lot of people against him, right? When it seems like that's all happening.
They're just kind of assuming that he's overrated, right? And it's like, it's not impossible that could happen, but you can't just say that and then be done with the conversation. You have to give me like something real, And from what we've seen, I really do think he just looks awesome.
Yeah, he does look pretty good.
Being one of the Mannings probably does make your odds of being a great quarterback better. It probably does help, actually.
Mm-hmm. I think I agree with that. And I also agree with like, it also does make you over talked about, like if what he did against those teams, someone with the last name Johnson did, it would not be talked about in nearly the same way.
That's fair.
But it wouldn't make the Johnson guy worse or better. It just is like the amount of media scrutiny that they get. I think he's shown what he's shown, and it's been good, and he was the number one recruit. I still think he's top 10. I do want to see a little bit more against better competition.
I want to see like more, period. So, but we actually 5 through 8 are all quarterbacks back to back to back to back. So at number 7, we have Cade Klubnik, who was my quarterback one. And I just thought that, like, if we're going off of sort of like, we haven't seen a ton from these guys, we're still looking for them to improve. Right now, Klubnik to me throws like the prettiest ball, right? He's just got this, Matt, you're muted, but I'm sure you were cooking with that.
I agree with that.
Yeah, he just throws like such a pretty and accurate ball, at least from clean pockets. I haven't exactly dissected how he handles pressure a ton yet, but just like watching him throw and watching him kind of go through his reads, he's just able to kind of find open guys and hit them accurately at a hit rate that I feel like Allar even doesn't really do. Like, there's throws where like Allar finds a guy, but then he like puts it outside of his frame and doesn't really allow him to get yards after catch. And Klubnik doesn't do, like, every throw for him is like absolutely on the money. So
yeah, I like that he he has a good arm. He's mobile, of course. I think he's more on the like seriously mobile, like can break off a big run into the spectrum rather than like can create behind the pocket. But I think what he creates behind the pocket, he does a good job of keeping his head up and looking to make a throw. There's some guys that I think don't do that as much, and he does. And I do think you can see him get through his progressions. So I think I had him as my quarterback too. He's also shown some growth. And his deep ball really is very nice. So I thought there was a lot of stuff there.
yeah, he's really good. So that brings us to our last quarterback here, which is Garrett Nussmeiner out of LSU.
Nussmeiner is where I start to stop being so flowery about these guys. There's a couple more of them. It's Nussmeiner and Sellers, who I'm like, I see them as first round picks right now, but there's bigger question marks for me. With Nussmeiner, I mean, he like doesn't create, right? He's not that type of guy. He's not particularly mobile. He's got a very big arm. He might have the biggest arm of anybody on this list. Maybe behind Allar. I don't know. There's a lot of guys who can really
Allar's got a pretty crazy arm, I think.
But my issue with Nussmeiner on top of that is that I just think he's a one read guy a lot of the time. I don't think he's like scanning the field. I don't feel like he does it that much. And for somebody who's so pocket bound, it starts to get really limited. Doesn't take a lot of sacks, so I think that's good. But to me, I still want to see him throw in one more thing, whether or not it's the ability to use his legs or to show that he's getting around the field a little bit more, or whatnot. I'm not quite fully there with him.
Yeah, I was getting low key Bo Nix vibes, which like Bo Nix was a first round pick quarterback and like had a good rookie year statistically.
Somebody else said that. I forget who. Off the top of my head.
But it was just like, it's a lot of like, RPO, catch the ball, one read, get the ball out. Like, and that's fine. But yeah, no, Matt, you're right. There's not a lot of like getting through. There's not a lot of getting through the reads. The ball is out of his hands very fast.
But the thing is that Bo Nix is mobile too. And he was also like the 6th quarterback taken in his draft class. So,
yeah.
I don't know. Like, I'm not saying that I prefer Nix to Nussmeiner because we haven't seen the final season of Nussmeiner yet. And Nix was also a lot older. So there's some major differences there. But I see like Nussmeiner as some people's quarterback ones, and it's an open class, but I'm not as big a fan as him.
I like Nussmeiner pretty good. I do. I think the thing that stands out the most to me about him is some of the aggressive decisions that he makes over the middle of the field, like kind of in the intermediate windows, like Tampa 2, Bender, right? Someone's carrying it. The two safeties are closing in. He's not afraid to rip that thing. Like he is brave. He is willing to take shots. He's willing to really venture a little bit farther downfield against zone coverage and actually hit those throws than some of the other quarterbacks on this list. Like in terms of being kind of this pro style pocket passer, like a Dak Prescott or a Justin Herbert or a Joe Burrow or Geno Smith, like there are kind of some moments like that for me with him where it's like,
I really think he just gets locked onto his guy and he's going to sling that thing.
I mean, he threw the flip side to that is he threw so
brave?
many like bad interceptions last year. Like
Here's the thing. I think that stems from him not reading 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it stems from, well, that's what I think it stems from. Not from him being like, I think I can fit this. I was just wrong. But like, I think the process to that is actually bad. And he has a big arm. And of course, we'll see. We'll see. I'm not standing by this if he has an awesome year and wins Heisman or whatever. But I think the process that he gets there with is not good.
Yeah, I'm like, are the other guys not brave, or are they just free thinkers?
I kind of think everybody's brave
You
in this
know?
class.
Who's brave?
Everybody. I think I would say all of these guys are relatively brave.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no one that I really considered too much of a check down artist.
At least not yet. That could change this season.
Who's up next?
Up next, we're out of the quarterbacks, so that brings us to TJ Parker. There's a lot of Clemson guys in this class, and TJ Parker's one of them. Frequently, I've seen him as like a consensus top 5 guy, so he's a little bit lower on our list here, but he's got this he's kind of does like the same move every time, but he's really good at it. This like long arm rip under, and it works. Like I'm like, can you do something else? But then I'm like, well, it worked again, so I can't be too mad at it.
Yeah, he's got NFL power, but I do get concerned that that's kind of all he has, where it's like, man, this guy's physical. This guy can run right through you, right? But what else can he really do? You know, does he have NFL bend? Does he have NFL?
Right.
I think he's a little bendy. I don't know if he's crazy. Maybe I'm giving him too much of a he's solid for his size, because he's like 265, rather than like just straight up good. But I don't think he's like as challenged as maybe some of the other guys are in that department.
Yeah. And he's got some moves, like he's got a cross chop and like against Pitt, he went crazy, but everybody did go crazy against Pitt's offensive line last year. But he'll knock the arm down and chisel out space for himself, and he can get around the corner, certainly. I guess my thought with him was like, yeah, he's good. You don't see this coming out of college all the time. Definitely reminds me of Jared Verse a little bit, who obviously just had a great rookie season after everybody was like, well, is he just power? But is that something you can find in free agency from like some grown ass man? Like, you know, I talked about Dietrich Wise earlier. He's got a ton of power, right? He's a great run defender, and he can bull rush a tackle. Certainly. You can sign him for not too much money. Is TJ Parker a little bit too much in that mold where it's like, for college, it's rare, but for like the NFL, what makes him like really special to be like top 5 on this list? But he is got another year in college football, right? He has shown some flashes. Maybe he's got even a little bit more bend than Verse does. So I
do think he has more bend than Verse.
Verse had like I'm shocked Verse had the type of rookie year that he did, as like,
because he's just that strong, man. He's so explosive off the line. It just doesn't matter.
He really just runs.
But I also don't know if Parker has that like
first step
same pop. Like that, his Verse's first step is so crazy. Where Parker's, I'm just like, he literally just comes off the line. He's like, I'm just going to push you as far back as I can, and then as soon as you start to try and like break my arms, I'm just going to like rip underneath you. And then like that's his whole plan. And it works enough that I'm like you mentioned, like he destroyed Pitt, running that same move over and over again.
And he is definitely one of those guys that stood out to me when I was watching other Clemson defenders for this draft or offenses playing Clemson. It's like, man, who is that guy who just popped that left tackle and knocked him back? So
yeah,
I was like, oh, there he is. He's the second consensus player on the big board, according to the Tank.
There's another Clemson player that I actually like more than.
Is it Terrell or the D tackle?
It's the D tackle, Peter Woods, who ended up being an honorable mention on our list. But I thought he was like a better run defender. Like he's got really nice contain. Like there's a play where I don't remember who's it against, but they hit this like this sweep. They pitched it out to the right side, and he just like tracks the running back like down the line of scrimmage, and then like squares up and tackle. I'm like, what? I'm like, who are you? Like, what? It was just totally insane.
See, I like the Clemson guy more too, but it was Terrell, the corner.
Yeah. Terrell's really good too.
Peanut punch mastery. Terrell. He's crazy at forcing fumbles. But who is number 10?
Our number 10 is another tackle in this class, Spencer Fano. He was the only guy I felt that came close to the master class that was Kadyn Proctor, but even he couldn't come to that level. But he's still really good out of Utah.
Yeah, he is going to be a fantastic run blocker, I think. Like, this guy is... I mean, we were talking about Chris Lindstrom on the interior offensive line rankings and how fast he can get out to linebackers and kind of just chop you down instantly. Like, this guy's got that same gene at the tackle position. Yeah, he is. It's ridiculous to watch how explosive he is.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it, and I thought generally the same. I didn't quite have him on my list, but I think he's a completely fair ad.
Yeah, I think he's a bit thin kind of through his waist, I thought.
Right.
And that kind of got me concerned. I'll have to watch more of his pass protection because a lot of like...
I mean, he's barely 300 pounds.
I wonder if he'll be a guard was kind of my thought initially. I don't think it's impossible.
Yeah.
We're still a ways out. You got to remember, even, there's time for these guys to change who they are, even physically, significantly.
Definitely. And yeah, definitely keeping his hips in front of people and his anchor, I worried a little bit about. But man, that like the explosiveness to create displacement and get to the second level was so elite that I put him on the top 10. It's like, look, in certain schemes, this is a top-notch skill set. Like there are going to be teams who have him, who are looking at him as the best tackle in the class above Proctor, because they would rather have somebody who can make those reaches, I think, than maybe someone so big. I really think that if you saw everybody's draft board today, there'd be some ones out there with this guy as
I
like
can
the number
think
one
of
player in
one
the
team
class.
that would absolutely pick him in the top 10.
What team is that?
And it's the Cleveland Browns.
That should have, if you're thinking I should have been
like,
able to guess.
Okay. I mean, it's like, I was having this discussion with someone earlier. They're like, dude, why do the Browns, like, I feel like they've got the running backs to run so much wide zone. Why don't they do that more? And like, they've got Wyatt Teller, who should be like a great wide zone blocker. And I'm like, because their tackles are slow as shit. The only tackle they have that would be good at that would be Conklin. But they've got but he's always hurt. So it's Jed Wills and DeJuan Jones, who like literally cannot reach. They can't get to the second level at all. So just
they're taking him
totally
number one overall, you think?
He's a Brown, and I have to assume that most of the guys on this list.
Do you think the Browns are going to have the number one pick? Is that what you're...
Loki, Nussmeiner fits the Brown scheme, and so does...
No.
I was the only Sellers pilled guy.
I think he's
I didn't
close.
Get to watch him. That was...
I think he's close, but like, I mean, he holds the ball a long time. I think he's a big, like... I think he looks one spot and then will like get out of the pocket for the sake of just like getting out of the pocket, unfortunately.
Yeah.
He's the most traitsy guy here, I think, but and like he's still like getting
in the
reps. So I don't want to like make it too negative about him or anything. And he's great as a creator. He really is. But his time to throw is like not only the highest of any serious like prospect this year, but I was looking, I think it was like the highest of any first round pick in the last 10 years. And it also would have been the highest in the NFL this year. Like it's really crazy. I can get down with guys who hold the ball. I know that South Carolina by no means is some like great offense that he's working with, but I want to see a little bit more of a balance. I love the creation stuff, but you got to show us a little bit more on the in the pocket stuff.
No, I definitely agree. Like, where are the throws over the middle? Like, there's so much of that in the NFL today, where it's like you need to be able to hit your back foot and slice a defense apart, which I think Allar can do. I think Nussmeiner can do that. I think Manning can do that. Like Sellers, I don't know, and that's a big deal. And I also think as a tools guy, he's not as crazy as like Milroe was last year. He's super thick and physical, and he bounces off of guys. And he's really good, but I don't know if he has quite the arm and like top end speed of like the Lamars and the Milroes and the, you know, Richardsons and Daniels, even like the top end speed, at least in that case. But I'll be interested to see if he develops, because he's better mechanically than some of these other guys. I feel like he does throw with like a good base and is like for the most part accurate. Like got to get the ball out of your hands, man.
I would say Klubnik's probably the best mechanically at this point.
That's fair.
One other thing I'll say about Nussmeiner is there's a lot of throws where he just like, it's like immediately like boot out of the pocket. Like they don't even like ask him to sometimes to even, there's just like not even trying to like, oh, don't even worry about managing the pocket. Just get out and like you can still throw over the middle from there. It's just like those are things that like I want to see another year, but there's things that I'm questioning about Nussmeiner right now. But one other guy before we get out, Matt, you had Jordan Tyson on your top 10.
I did. ASU legend. I thought he was really good. He's super deceptive with his breaks. He's really, really smooth. He'll hit a step the other way before breaking in, and it didn't seem like a lot of dudes could hang with him. I mean, some of these throws over the middle are like, the corner is like 10 yards. I mean, just they can't even come close to hanging with him. I always am really high on dudes like that. And it also seemed like he had some really serious ball skills where it's like, this is like a complete 50-50 and you got to work back to it. And he totally did. So early watching, but I really liked what I saw from him. He seemed like a first round pick to me.
Oh yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
You know what else should be a first round pick? The Stay Hot group chat. Once again, make sure you guys are joining ChatBcc. Go to stayhot.chat in your browser and you can join the greatest group chat of all time. We're over 450 people strong right now. So we're going to be talking about a lot of sports. The NBA Finals conversation was very interesting because it was like, and it really, I started watching the game because of how much people were talking about it in the chat. So I was like, man, that was, I thought the Pacers were going to win. I thought my Pacers in 5 narrative was going to come true. It did not, but maybe they'll be Pacers in 6. But the Thunder just got it done. So make sure you guys join the Stay Hot group chat at stayhot.chat in your browser. It'll be a fun time, I promise. But yeah, I think that'll pretty much do it for another episode of Stay Hot. Make sure you guys go and watch the Justin Jefferson versus Jamar Chase video we just put out. We each gave our take on who we think is better. I'm not going to spill the beans on what everyone said in that video, but it was a good video. I can promise you that much. And 2 of the best receivers in football, someone commented on Twitter, they were like, it's like asking me if I would rather have $10 million or $10 million. It's that good. So yeah, make sure you check it out. Matt, anything else you want to say before we get out?
Nah, I'm all good.
All right, Theo.
I think you covered it.
Theo, anything else you want to say before we get out?
Absolutely not.
All right. Well, then until next time, fellas, thank you for tuning in. And as always, from your favorite 3 fellas here at Stay Hot, Corn Boy, Bird Boy, Lemon Boy, we'll catch you on the flippity flop.